You know, you hear these stories of like the waitress that, you know, someone wrote a check to pay for their college education, or you hear those things, you never ever think that would happen to you.
I just got done with one of my favorite interviews ever, and you guys are gonna love this.
I had decided that I needed a promo video, and it was like $7,000. And at that time, there's no way I could come up with $7,000. If I just say, all right, God, you know, this is up to you. Like, I'm just gonna let you deal with the money stuff. I'm just gonna do what I know how to do. You know, I'm gonna hire the videographer, I'm gonna hire, I rented out the studio.
Someone who's been in our inner circle last, 3+ years, and one of my favorite people in our community.
And that day, I get a message on MySpace. I would love to make a donation. And he pulls out a checkbook and he said, you never have to talk to me again. You owe me nothing. And he writes something down and he closes it and he hands it to me.
Just a really fascinating interview.
So I grab the check and I open it up, and it's a check for $10,000.
Completely transformed her life, and she creates really funny ads. As you'll see, one of her ads got over 60 million views.
I never would have guessed that within 24 hours I would have, you know, more than what I needed. And especially in such a large amount of money.
And I cannot wait to share this interview with you guys about how to launch and grow your company with funny ads. Our special guest for today is Kristine Mirelle, and I'm so excited to have her here. So how are you doing today?
Thanks, Russell. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing so good. And maybe let's start again, just the beginning story with the first kind of funny ad that you did that kind of took off. And then I want to go deeper into some of the backstory. But what was the very first thing, or the kind of situation, take people to the situation you were in when you created the first ad that took off?
Yeah. So I was living on a farm basically in New Mexico, and I had no Wi-Fi, and I was like just figuring out, how am I going to promote my products? How am I going to sell my products?
When was this, by the way?
This was 2009. It was right when COVID hit.
Okay.
So I had moved to New Mexico. I just had a baby. I needed help. I moved in with my parents, you know. And then I looked outside, and I always tell everyone, we had this old toilet in our backyard. And we even had washers and dryers and all kinds of other stuff, but we're Mexican, and I always joke with everyone, I'm like, you know, Mexicans, we do all of our own plumbing, we do all of our own landscaping, we do everything. So there's always just stuff everywhere. So there's this old toilet, because we had redone my mom's bathroom.
It's left it outside.
It just left it outside. Where else are you going to put it? You don't throw it away, you leave it in the backyard. That's what we do. Maybe we'll need it later, you know? And so then I asked my dad and my brother, I'm like, hey, can you move it into the middle of the field? And my mom had this old horse there, like a rocking horse type thing. And then we had this book and some oranges. And I was and my brother was there, and I was like, oh, maybe we could shoot an ad. And then what I've actually never shared with you is there was tornadoes. So just across the street from us, in the other field, there were 3 tornadoes. And so in the middle of us shooting this ad, I had Minutes, because there was a gigantic tornado coming after us. But I was like, I gotta make money to feed my baby. So I got my brother to sit on the toilet, and I just said, hey, you're probably on the toilet right now, because I figured some people are going to be on their phone and they're on their toilet. I'm like, how funny it would be if you got called out and said, you're probably on the toilet, but you should be promoting your music, you know? And so that's what I did. I had a music offer, and we just shot that, and my brother just sat there on the toilet, and, you know, I called him Harry, and he had an accent, and it was absolutely ridiculous. And it got millions of views, and I wasn't expecting that, and I didn't know it. And then everyone's like, this is the best ad ever. And I was like, oh, everyone has really weird sense of humor. You know, we'll run with this. So that was the first ad.
That was the very first one. Can we play that one real quick?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That up. Here's the ad.
Hey artists and musicians, I know a lot of you guys are at home right now, doing nothing, trying to figure out what to do with your time, not promoting your music, maybe riding plastic horses like this one, or maybe you've learned how to juggle, or maybe you've learned a new language. Hay una changa embarazada en el baño. Or a lot of you may have even started your own lawn mowing business, but none of that matters if you're not promoting your music. See, a lot of you guys are like Harry over here. Say hello, Harry.
Howdy, y'all.
Now, how long have you been sitting there, Harry?
25 minutes.
A lot of you guys that are watching right now are doing the exact same thing that Harry's doing.
Ain't that the truth, Kristine Mirelle?
You can call me Kristine.
All right, Kristine Mirelle.
Now, instead of wasting time doing stuff like this, you could have already have submitted your music to 4,592 blogs and magazines and Spotify playlists that all play music and publish music from independent artists like yourself. And in fact, I put together a list of 4,592 of them. And if you get just one of these blogs to publish your music, you'll potentially reach hundreds to thousands of listeners overnight. So if you're an artist that wants to get your music out there, don't be like Harry.
Hey!
Check the description, click on the link, and let's get your music out there.
All right. That's amazing. So I want to go deeper into that because now you turn this into a whole business and you've done it for me and for other people. And it's so fascinating. But I want to tell a story that I bet most people don't know this about you. In fact, I didn't know. We had a chance to go to Wise, Virginia together to the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And at dinner, we were sitting talking, and it's your origin story, how you learned how to sell and do these things was so cool because I spent 2 years on a mission knocking doors, like selling religion for the most part. And yours was the same thing. You were knocking doors. So we tell us that story how, because you're a musician, you were creating music, but you didn't have someone who was selling it. Like you were out there knocking doors. Like tell us about how that started.
Yeah. So I started when I was 10, actually. So when I was 10 years old, we were like the little Mexican family. And then my friend her dad actually was a dentist. Mm-hmm. And so I went into her neighborhood and I was like, oh, all these rich people live here. They all have money. Let me sell them something, And so I'm like, what could we sell? And she had a iced cappuccino machine. She's like, let's make iced cappuccino. I didn't even know what's a cappuccino? I don't even know what that is, right? And so we made these little cappuccinos and she had these little plastic things. And then we took gack. I know this is so bad. This was so unethical. We're 10. So this is not like recently. We took gack. I've never even told the story. And we put it in water. And then we're like, we're just going to call this makeup remover. And so then we put that into like these plastic bottles. And I just remember taking paper and like writing makeup remover on it. So we had iced cappuccinos and makeup remover. And then we go door to door. And like within an hour, I walk away with like $75, right? I'm 10. So $75 is like, I'm balling. Like I am balling. And so we go back home and then her mom gets so angry with her and she makes her go, give all the money back.
Oh, really?
I kept my money. I was like, I don't know about you. I'm keeping my money. $75, that's a lot. So she had to go give it back. But that was for me, that was the first lesson in create something and then go find the people to sell it to. And so whenever I just kind of continued selling all kinds of random things, I used to go to the dollar store and I used to actually negotiate with the dollar store. So they'd give me everything for about 55 cents and then I'd go sell everything for $5. So I went door to door selling like little candles and stuff.
How old were you when you were doing that?
10. I did door to door sales until I was like 23.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm just selling anything that I could find. One of the best things, which I don't even know, I don't know if this is even good. Maybe it's not best. Maybe it's totally bad. I'd buy one thing. So here's this is so terrible. So I'd buy like a clock because then I'd go to Family Dollar and then I'd go buy raffle tickets because then I realized I could buy one clock and sell as many raffle tickets as I want, and then I wouldn't even give them a date. I'd be like, I just have a clock. I'm going to give this away. So it was like a never ending like place. And then eventually at some point,
$2,000 in raffle tickets for a $12 clock.
Like a $12 clock. It was so bad. But it was like, you just create something and you get in front of people. And then when I started making music, that's when it was like, okay, I've just already done this already. Let me just go directly to the people. And so I used to create albums, would burn them on my CDs back when we would burn them, and make copies and write in Sharpie, Kristine's music. And then I would go door to door and I would just, hey, you know how it is. Yeah. I mean, it'd be 120 degrees and pouring sweat, or it'd be like freezing cold, so cold that I could barely move, and just ask people, hey, would you be interested in buying my music? Hey, I'm a musician. This is what I'm doing. Telling them a little bit, kind of like hook story offer, I guess. Here's a little bit of my story. Here's my offer. And seeing if they were interested. And I did that till I was like 23 years old.
When did you start selling? Like when did you your first CD sold?
I was about 17 years old. So, and I sold thousands of albums that way. And it was like, I always tell everyone, it was like a 90% failure rate. Like 9 out of 10 people said no. I'm sure people were like slamming the door. I mean, I remember people would come to our door, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, and we would all hide in the bathroom. So we'd be like, shh, everybody hide.
We used to get that knocking door. I was like, I can hear you in there. Like, quiet.
Yeah. That's what I would put us all in the bathroom and be like, quiet, yeah. So like, I already knew like people aren't happy when you're knocking on their door. So I was just kind of already expectant of it. But so I was 17, and then I like 9 out of 10 people said no, but 1 out of 10 people would say yes, or I'd meet like a really cool family that would be like, I'll buy all your CDs, or come inside and have dinner with us. And I was like, I'd sleep on people's couches, and I was living in Motel 6s or whatever, however I was surviving. And occasionally someone would say, hey, we have an extra room. You could stay here for the weekend. And so I met all these really nice people. And then there was all kinds of crazy stories too, which I guess we can get into. But But it was like 9 out of 10 people, slamming doors in my face, telling me, go get a real job, or, real kind of mean people. And then there'd be one person that's just like, hey, come have dinner and we'll pray for you. And their family would gather around
So
and
cool.
pray, so it was like, wow, this is, you get used to rejection really fast. And I think that's a huge superpower of you just, for entrepreneurship. Because you're just, okay, you said no, okay, next.
Yeah.
No, okay, next. No,
That was such a big thing for me too. Is like, because I was knocking doors in Jersey, and like, for us it wasn't 1 out of 10. It was like 1 out of 100. Maybe it was nice
Yeah,
to
I bet.
But it's like no, slam the door. We had people
go
like let their
away.
dogs out on us, like and they're jumping over the fence while dogs are biting at it. It was chaos. But yeah, you learn that they're not rejecting me, they're rejecting the message, which is fine, and then just
Right.
keep going. Okay, so I'm curious. Do you remember your door approach, like how you did it?
Yeah.
Can you pitch me right now? I'm gonna knock on my
did I-
door and pitch it to me.
Okay, if you open the door and you didn't yell at me first.
Hello, how are you
Be
doing?
like, hi, my name's Kristine Mirelle. I'm a singer. I'm here. A lot of times I was like maybe getting ready for an album or something. So I'd be like, I've just put together a new album, and I just wanted to see if you'd be interested in checking it out. And you could even take a listen if you like. And if you like it, it's $10, and just wanted to see if you'd be interested in supporting a local artist. So something kind of just like that, really simple. And then sometimes they would ask me to sing. So I would
really?
sing on the doorstep, and I'd be like, yeah. Or if they had a piano, I'd be like, oh, I could play something for you. So kind of offering almost like
Some value up
Costco,
front.
let me give you a little sample. I'll give you a little sample. And if you like the cheese, you can buy the whole bag. So I try to giving them a little sample of it. But it was just real simple like that. Or it was me apologizing because now their baby's awake because I rang the
I'm
so
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, my music will put him back to sleep.
Right. Yeah. I should have segued into that. The music will make them go to sleep.
Do you have copies of all your old albums? Like, how cool would that be to have like a collection of here's every album like I sold door to door?
I believe I do. And you know what's crazy? If you go on eBay, people are selling them for like $100.
Oh, serious?
And I'm like, that makes me feel really cool. I'm like, ooh, people pay $100.
literally
Like you could
am
probably
gonna
Google it. You could probably look it up. My brother sent me one like 2 weeks ago, and it was like before the fame. And I was like, I'm really not famous, but that's cute.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So people sell different albums, and I still get hit up at least once a week where someone says, oh, this song, was, an important part of my life or something.
There it
like
is. There's the album. I'm gonna buy them right now as we're sitting here. Okay, which ones? So we've got 2006, 2007. Those are the two that are popping in there. I'm buying them both right now. So I'm gonna be. Will you sign these next time you come out?
Yeah, those are like the worst songs I ever wrote in my life, so don't judge me.
This is gonna be like, oh.
And you know what? I was so emo. I don't know if it's the one, my very first album, I'm like sitting in the corner like this. So emo, and it's like black and white, and the album's called Cry. Like, no, it's so emo. You know when you're like 13 and you're like, but I was like 16 and I was still like so emo, like life is hard. People don't understand me. So the whole album's like me, like cry. Like that album's called Cry. It was so bad. But we shot it with a disposable camera. So remember, you could take like 17 photos and you had to wait like a week for it to get developed. But yeah, that was I don't think that was the first one. I'll have to get you a
I'm
copy
gonna put
of
an
the
alert on
first
you
one.
too. So every time it pops up, I'm gonna get the entire collection eventually, and then have you sign them all. So I'm really pumped about that. So.
Oh man.
Okay, so as you're doing door approaches, I'm curious. I have so many funny, like strange, weird stories. But what are some stories for you as you're knocking on doors, like some of the weird or awkward or whatever things that happened that you remember?
So many things. There's two that always stick out. So I had a little scooter. So I made it, and I don't know if you ever did this. You were walking, weren't you? You were walking.
mostly.
So I had a little electric scooter because I could cover more doors quicker. So I would take my little electric scooter, and I remember if there were like kids in the neighborhood, other kids would I ended up with like a posse. So I was like the head of like the 10-year-olds, I was like, I would have been really cool like if I was 10. It's not so cool that I'm like 18, but okay. So, I'm on my little electric scooter that I would charge every night. And then I would go up to these houses, and then I remember this one guy, he answers the door literally in like little white underwear. And he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, do you want to buy one of my help? Like, what do you do? Like, do you turn around and run? And then he had this like big dog in the back, and he's like, oh, just come inside. And I was like, and I didn't really know what to do, And so I said, I'm afraid of dogs. And I like took off running. Like, I just didn't know what else to do because I didn't want to be like, it's you. Instead, it's like, it's your dog that's scared. I don't know. That just felt like more believable in my mind than saying, no, I don't want to walk into a stranger's house in their underwear. That's like the beginning of like a murder movie. So
I was thinking about the people who are like who answer the door. It happens to us all the time too. It's like would you answer the door in your underwear? Like, wouldn't you?
It was the
Anything?
weirdest.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Just to know that
Humans
you
are
think that's
strange.
okay. Like, what else do you think is okay? Like, that's just already, I'm not walking into your house. And then another time there was like a huge dog chasing me. It was like a pit bull, and I was on my electric scooter, and I'm just flying. And I have my like bag of CDs. And I just remember these like two guys outside, like they're like America type guys, you know, they have like a pickup truck and they're like an American flag and they're like drinking a beer. And I'm screaming because I'm like, help, you know. So terrible. And then I just look over there, and these guys are like on lawn chairs, you know, like the $10 lawn chairs you buy from Walmart. And they're just having a beer, and they're just like with the aviator glasses. And I'm like, they're not even laughing. Like in my mind, I'm thinking, this has got to be hilarious. There's this poor girl, just like it's 120 degrees outside on her little scooter getting chased by a dog. Like the whole thing, I'm looking over here, and there's like America, like proud to be an American's like playing over their radio. Like it was just so like bizarre, you know. And then luckily the dog turned around and I got away with it. But yeah, just so I knocked on tens of thousands of doors, and it would be about 100 doors a day. I did that for till I was like 23. So yeah, all kinds of craziness.
It's so cool. I wanted to share that part because I think some people get into entrepreneurship and they don't understand, like, to be successful, like most people put in a lot of time ahead of time, right? I remember Jamie Cross, who, you know, she sells soaps. And when she came to ClickFunnels, she built the soap funnel and launched it and hit 2 Comma Club. But what people don't know is before that, she was selling her soaps door to door, and she like learned what the hooks were and what the pitch were. And then she was in farmers markets and people walking by. She had to learn how do I get somebody to stop and walk over to my booth? And then what's the story I got to, it's like, she'd done that for years, over and over and over again, to the point where when she put it in the funnel, she knew the message, she knew the hooks, it was very fast, you know? I think same thing for you is you're going out there, like, you know every objection, you know every hook, you know the things that work, things that don't work, and all that kind of stuff. So like when you step into the next selling situation, whatever, like you have all that stuff that a lot of people are missing out on, you know?
Right. Well, and then also already you're not having to get past like any belief system. You just already know the data is majority of people say no, and occasionally one person says yes. So you already walk in going, every no is like closer to like a yes. And then just knowing I need an offer, and then I just need to find people to buy it. And I think now too, you know, there's paid traffic and you can run ads and all that kind of thing. But if you don't run ads, you can just go straight to where they're at. And for me, it was they're at home. That's where they are. Like, and just finding where they're congregating. Like you always talk about, where's your ideal customer congregating, and go pitch to them, and just being okay with people telling you no, you know, and that sometimes people are going to hate you for it too. But there's occasionally going to be someone that's really grateful for you. And that one person makes up for everybody else, you know?
It's so cool. There's a story I want to ask you about, but if it's too personal, you don't want to tell, feel free. But I remember you told me the story about, I don't remember all the details, but somebody who you knocked on the door and they met you later and gave you more money and kind of changed the trajectory. Do you remember? It was someone who I'm going to tell the story, but it's probably incorrect in my head. There's someone you met and they said, meet me later at a diner or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, this is
It was such
great.
a cool
I would
thing.
love to tell this story.
Yeah.
It was actually like a really challenging time for me, like with my faith and my beliefs at that time, because I was kind of going through this, like, do I believe in something bigger? Do I believe in, you know, like, where am I here? Do I believe in God? Do I not believe in God? You know, like just kind of at this place where it's just like, I don't know. And I've always believed in, like, there was this huge part of me that's really faith driven. Like if you just believe something will happen, like it will, you know, if you just believe hard enough and you take actions towards it. And I had just left New Mexico, and where I'm from, it's actually, I was looking up this the other day, more murders per capita than any other state in the country. And there was a lot of things, you know, I had bullet holes in my car, bullet holes in my house. There was a lot of violence. My, you know, boyfriend had died of a drug overdose. Like there was all these different, you know, things. And I had decided that I was going to get out of it, but I was in debt, and I had, you know, been in this physically abusive relationship. I just at this place where it was just a really low part of my life. And as I was leaving New Mexico, I ran over a screwdriver. Like my car, like just went to like, and then these girls stole my phone. I mean, it was just all bad. And I was like, I remember my friends being like, that's a sign. You don't need to leave. I'm like, I am going to crawl out of this state. I don't care. Like, I don't care what, I'm crawling out of this state. So I finally get out, and I randomly go to Las Vegas, and I'm actually like, if you know couchsurfing.com, it's like people randomly, I know
This is a real thing?
already yeah, it's a real thing. It's couchsurfing.com. So if someone has a couch, they'll say, hey, if someone's in town and needs a place to crash, you can crash at my place. So I'd reached out to maybe like 100 people, and like 3 people had said yes. And there was this guy, and he was like, yeah, you can come stay. And I go, and there's like 30 other women there. It's really weird. And there's like people everywhere. And then he's like hooking up with one of the girls in the room. And so I go and I sit on the pavement, and I'm like, how did I end up here? Like, all the things, like, how did I end up here? And I'm in the pavement. I can hear the guy and the girl inside. And I'm like, this is weird. And then I'm on website, Craigslist, and someone says that they need someone to watch their dogs. And I was like, I'll watch your dogs if I can stay in your house, because he's going on vacation. He's like, sure. So I show up. He has this beautiful home, hands me the keys to like a convertible car. Like, it was just, and he has 9 Pomeranians and like 6 fish. And he like leaves, and he's gone for like weeks or whatever. So I'm just there in this like house. And I have no money, and I don't know what I'm doing, but it's just kind of, things are like, they're okay though. Like I'm not on the street though, I'm like, I'm here, I'm taking care of these 9 Pomeranians. I just remember they would attack me every day. And I was still really depressed because of where my life was. And he doesn't know this. I hope he's watching this. I left the water on in his kitchen, and it flooded the entire place. So I get home, and the whole place is flooded. 9 Pomeranians are attacking me, and I'm crying. So I'm like crying in this kitchen, but I mean, like, I never really thought of how funny that image is now, imagining how funny this was. And so then I'm like, you know what? I still have my CDs. I'm going to go out. And so I go out onto the street, and I'm selling, I'm going door to door. And I had decided that I needed a promo video. I needed a video that showed what a good performer I was. I'm a classical pianist. I need to show that I'm a, great pianist, and I'm a singer, because I want to go and start performing at the casinos. But I knew I needed a video. And so I'd kind of budgeted it all out, and it was like $7,000. And at that time, $7,000 might as well have been $100 million. Like, there's no way I could come up with $7,000 at that time. And just something was like, again, going back to like that faith. And I was like, I feel like I don't know how to make money, but I know how to do music. And if I just say, all right, God, this is up to you. Like, I'm just going to let you deal with the money stuff. I'm just going to do what I know how to do. I'm going to go door to door. And when I would go door to door, I'd make maybe $100. I wasn't making a whole lot, but I was like, I'm going to schedule this shoot in about 12 days. So hopefully you can come up with $7,000 in 12 days, and for me, even going door to door every single day, I would have made like $1,200, it wasn't a lot. And so I went door to door that day. And that day I started reaching out. I started hiring musicians. I started hiring choreographers, videographers. I started, and I just kept walking with faith. It was faith. It will happen. And I'm going to take I'm going to take all these steps that show that I believe, I'm going to hire the videographers. I rented out the studio, which was like $100 an hour. And, I surrendered all that stuff. And that day I'm like, all right, I'm going to go out door to door. And so I go door to door, and I vaguely remember this guy, but he bought a CD, and I used to sell the CDs for $10. And that night, it was MySpace days. It's back in MySpace. I get a message on MySpace. It's like, hey, you sold me a CD today. And I would love to make a donation. I'd love to donate another $200 or $300 to what you're doing and to your music career. Now, he doesn't know. I didn't tell anybody about my situation. Nobody knew about my financial situation. Nobody knew that I was making a promo video. I kept that to myself. And so I was like, great. And I was like, I felt so good. I'm like, awesome. There's going to be like 20 more guys like that are like, I just want to donate $200 in the next 12 days. Like, sure, this is going to be great. So I go to Starbucks, and we sit there, and he's just really like scared, timid guy. And he's just like, he just asked me a bunch of questions, and he was just kind of like, he was very sad, and he's like, I'm really successful, and my family doesn't talk to me. And he was just kind of really sad, but he was asking how I stayed so excited about what I was doing, because he's like, door to door sucks. He's like, why are you so happy? And I'm like, well, I just know that this isn't the end of my story. This is the middle of my story. And every story, there has to be like the part where it's hard, right? And I always kind of looked at it like, or else it's not even a story worth telling, So I know that this isn't the end. And that drives me, because I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I'm having a couch surf. I'm getting, getting attacked by Pomeranians, whatever. Like, these are all stories I get to tell when I'm successful and walking in. So it makes this not painful. Instead, I go, ooh, let me write this down. So I'm telling him about my journey. And anyways, he looks at me at the very end, and he says, how do I spell your name? And again, I had never told him about any of, and this is within 24 hours of my prayer of everything, me hiring people. And he says, how do I spell your name? And I told him, and he pulls out a checkbook, and he goes, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Something is telling me that I'm supposed to do this. And he said, you never have to talk to me again. You owe me nothing. And he writes something down, and he in the checkbook. He closes it and he hands it to me. And we talk briefly, and I'm like scared to open it because just everything that's happening, like life is just so crazy at this point. And he leaves that Starbucks, and I just wait inside the Starbucks, and I like so scared to open the check because I don't know what, I'm like, what is this? And I grab the check and I like open it up, and it's a check for $10,000. And I immediately started crying, and I go into the bathroom and I like sit in the corner of like the Starbucks, and I'm just like, it was such a feeling of like everything to me was falling apart in this realm, in earth. But if the creator of this earth is on my side, then it doesn't matter what's happening here. It doesn't matter, because if I have a team member that created all this stuff, like that's my team member right here. Like that's a pretty good team member to have. And so I just thought, wow, that was 24 hours. And I felt like, you hear these stories of like the waitress that, someone wrote a check to pay for their college education, or you hear those things, you never ever think that would happen to you. And I never would have guessed that within 24 hours of just making the decisions and moving in faith would like that within 24 hours, I would have exactly more than what I needed. And especially in such a large amount of money. And it was that was a mind opener. So for me, it was just reiterated, like faith is so powerful, and just moving in faith and taking steps in faith. So,
yeah. And then from there you went and made the video?
Yeah. that wasn't until, I read your book, Expert Secrets, years later. Because after that, I actually got into performing. So I finally figured it out. I made my videos and I performed and I traveled the world and
did all the
things.
And
I did all the things that a musician would want. I earned 7 figures as an independent musician and toured and did some cool things. But that was over the span of my career, And then when I read Expert Secrets, I was at the point where I was about to have a baby. I was like, I can't be like touring around and like living this rock star life anymore, And then decided that I would get into coaching. So, and then the first ad came out. Yeah.
All right. So let's dive into that side of the story now. So you did that first ad, and obviously we watched the ad earlier today, but explain, because you created an offer for people like you who are struggling musicians who couldn't maybe get on, getting published. Like, what was the offer that you created initially that the ad sold?
Yeah. So I went from, my first offer was actually a course. I sold a $997 course, and that was when I was still living in Vegas. And then I was joking today because I was living in this garage when I held my first webinar. So you were like, hold a webinar once a week. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold a webinar. And I held the webinar, and I was living in this garage because at this point I had separated from my son's dad. It was like everything just kind of lost everything overnight. And I'm 5 months pregnant. I'm all depressed again. It's just like this sad story. And then there's a water softener in the side corner. And if you've ever listened to a water softener in a garage, it's like, and so I'm doing the webinar. I'm like, hey, everybody, I just want to talk to you. And then the water softener, I'm like, I'm just so excited to talk to you guys about this, trying to talk over the water softener. But I sold something online, and I sold a course, and I was like, oh my God, I just made like $1,000. This is crazy. And then I had moved to New Mexico, and now I don't have Wi-Fi. And so I was like, okay, I can't sell the course anymore. I can't do webinars anymore. And so then I created a book. And so I would work on this book. And then it was like a $19 book that I decided to sell online. And it was crazy because, again, I couldn't do any like dramatic demonstrations. I wasn't doing any webinars or challenges or any live masterclasses or anything. I just was running paid ads. But that funny ad that, everyone was commenting on it, everyone was liking it, everyone was sharing it. My first month, I think it was like a $47,000 net profit month. Which was, I didn't even realize how wild that was.
That's a $19 ebook, right?
That's a $19 ebook. And I had made some other $19 ebooks. And then because some of the books weren't finished yet, I just sold them unfinished. I'm like, pre-order it. It's coming.
It's going to be awesome.
And this was a great thing, because when I tell people, I'm like, you could sell something that's not even done yet. You just got to be honest about, hey, it's not done. You can't just be like, surprise, it's not finished, but I'll send it to you later. So I put, hey, it's coming. You'll have it in a month. So in the funnel, I added other books that didn't exist yet. I said, but they will. So I'm writing a book on this and this and this. And so, and then I had a little mini course at the end. And again, I couldn't do any coaching, but, I used ClickFunnels, and it automatically activated the email that would send them their product. So they got their product, they saw the product, the ad brought them in, and I didn't have to do anything else. And that was like really reassuring for me, because I was, raising my son. He had just been born. I was breastfeeding. It was just like, I didn't have a car. I was living on this farm, all that kind of stuff. So it was, that was absolutely crazy. But it was really those funny ads. Like people were they were watching, they were consuming them. And because the product was good, right? The offer was good. But then when you get someone to laugh, they immediately like you, right? They immediately like you as soon as you get them to laugh. And I'm like, this is crazy. So yeah, that was like my very first ad to like a low ticket, and I couldn't believe that I could make so much even just selling like a $19 book.
Yeah, so cool. I'm curious. I have a guess on this. I'm curious if you know the stats, but because right now, as you know, ad costs have been going up, up, and up.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting, I assume, is with the funny ads, I'm assuming the ad cost is like cost to acquire customers way lower because there's virality, people share it, there's people socially interacting with it. Like if you have stats or numbers to show like a traditional thing versus like a funny ad, like just the cost to acquire customers or anything?
I really should get like more on the stats side, but this is what I have noticed. Immediately when I would bring in funny ads, the sales at one point, I remember one time I had the same ad. I didn't change the ad spend or anything. The sales had tripled on one of the ads, and it was like the second ad that I had offered. And then I was able to scale more because I hadn't gotten to a point where I could keep spending more. You know, every time you increase your ads budget, you want to continue to be doing this, right? You want to make more, or you want to break even, whatever your goals are. But for me, I was keeping this one ad. I had a really serious ad that I just couldn't scale. And the moment that I brought in the funny ones, I was able to actually spend more and scale more. And that, at that point, that was like I was like, what, triple? Like that was insane. And, but I've definitely noticed, also the reach and how many people share, how much organic reach you get because everyone's sharing it to their friends. And because like the toilet ad, for example, it was like, you probably look like this, or you're probably sitting on this toilet right now. You know, you'd have like Mary Smith be like, oh my gosh, Yolanda, isn't this like, this is you all day. You know what I mean? Or you know, like they would like send their friend, you know, to their friends.
Tagging their friends.
Yeah, they'd tag their friends. And so then their friends would go, who's this girl? And then they would start talking and stuff. And so it was really cool to also see the organic and how much people were sharing it. And then to see like millions, it was like real quick, like the first, I don't know, it was like a year or 2 years, it was like 60 million views. It was like 60 million views. Like that was insane. Like it was absolutely insanity.
Like
and I wasn't posting
LA,
every day.
right? That's a lot of people.
Yeah. And I wasn't posting every day at all. I wasn't doing anything. It was just from just from paid traffic. And now because we do ads for other companies that use just serious ads. And now they've replaced like everything with fun, and they don't have to necessarily be like funny, like they don't have to have like a kick, but just fun, something that makes people go, oh, they don't take life too seriously. They're a fun person. I want to work with them. If I'm going to choose someone to work with, I want to work with them.
Yeah, so cool. So afterwards, you obviously were doing it for the music business. But then I know later you started, I don't know if you're partnering with brands or buying brands, but you have a couple other companies you started doing these for. You talked about, because what's cool about this is you mastered this thing for your own business. And then like the skill set you mastered, now you were able to like leverage it to get equity in other businesses for applying that skill, which is so fascinating.
This is so cool. And so a friend of mine had a cologne company and they were running ads and they were losing money. And I was able to quickly identify a couple things, right? Their ads were terrible and they didn't have a funnel. And so I just called him and I was like, and again, I'm on the farm. So I'd seen it and I'm like starting an ads agency on a farm with no Wi-Fi. Like at the time, I didn't think of how wild this was. I just saw that it worked. And I'm like, it worked for me. It should work for him. And so I called him. I'm like, there's this thing called a funnel and you like set it up and it'll take me like a week. I got to build it out. But let me run your ads and let me, kind of do this stuff and we'll do a 50-50 split. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so he had showed me his ads account. They were losing money, but they were still getting sales. And I was like, oh, if I just tweaked a couple things, I believe this would be profitable. And so, worked out a 50-50 rev share. And immediately, it was like similar numbers to the book. It was like thousands a day. It was like right away. And it was like these funny, ridiculous ads that we're shooting with a cell phone. Like this isn't like video production, but the very first ad I shot in the backyard, I didn't even have the cologne. And I think this is a big thing for people. So there's two things here. One, I didn't have any cologne. And two, recognizing that anybody that sees this ad has never smelled this cologne. So I think most people would go, that's not going to work, right? Like there's even, and we have no Wi-Fi and we have there's so many things. But what I did was I was like, but wait, we have software. So I'd be like, guys, check out the cologne. Ding! And then we just put the cologne there, like an image, and we would say, stuff like, are you this guy? And it's like a lonely guy. Well, you got to smell good so you could have all the ladies. And then it'd show all these ladies around the guy. So it's just like these images, like there's no people and I'm in the backyard. Like there's like pecans and like my mom's washer and dryers, or the toilet's like over there.
still there.
Like it's still
It makes
there.
a cameo in
Everything's
every
still there.
video.
Yeah, like the toilet's there. But it just started selling. And so then I did it for a brick and mortar company. I did it for, we sell food. I set up the same ad in the same backyard, but I'm holding a plate of tamales. And I'm like, tamales, you want some tamales? And I'm in the ad, you know? And so but it just worked. And I saw it work across every niche. I saw it work across everything. And the cologne company, we actually got a 2 Comma Club award for selling millions of dollars of cologne that nobody smelled before, which was crazy. So so it was really cool. It's like once you master ads, like you can now, most people, their problem is traffic. They can't get traffic. They have a good offer and they have no idea how to get traffic, or they're not willing to do what needs to be done to get traffic, right? Sometimes there's ego and they don't want to, like, even how we went door to door, right? I love how like there was no ego. It's like all my ego is gone.
I
Like,
lost that years ago.
doesn't exist. And so, it was like a quick, it was to have that now. And now I work with different companies and I have a very similar arrangement with each one, depending on what I'm doing. And some of that's everything, like building out because I built out the entire funnel. I'm also like, oh, this is how we built it out. And it's not just the funny ads, but also like helping with the entire sales structure. And to me, that's so fun. I love it because you tweak a couple things, like just a few little things, and it makes like huge, huge differences. So it was really cool to like acquire that skill. And then now working with other companies, and like they've done all the work to create the products. The cologne company did all the shipping. I'm not having to do anything. I'm just promoting them on the front end. I'm like, this is awesome.
Can we show one of the clone ads?
Yeah.
The top secret.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, we're going to show a clone ad right here so you guys can see it.
Hey guys, I want to show you this amazing cologne. It's called LPR. And did I mention that it has pheromones in it? Pheromones are scientifically proven to attract women to men. What? Let me demonstrate. I'm so lonely. None of the ladies love me. I'm gonna die alone. Now watch what happens. I love you, Billy. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you too, Billy. Mwah, mwah, mwah. What am I gonna do? All these ladies want me. How am I gonna choose one? You don't have to choose one, Billy. You can have us both. Yeah. Click the link to get LPR cologne straight to your door.
Okay, question that I think people are asking. You said you didn't know Wi-Fi. If you have no Wi-Fi, you record that on your phone, then how are you getting it on the internet?
Oh yeah, no, this is a good question. I left this out. Magically, it just appeared on the internet. I know. Well, I remember when Elon did he came up with the Wi-Fi. I was like, yes, I'm finally gonna have Wi-Fi, and it was like, not in your area. And I'm like, dang it,
like everywhere on the planet except for
everywhere. But where we were, there's crop circles everywhere. Like if you had focused on our area, like 2 people would have signed up. So, but what I would do is I would wait till my mom got home every day, and I would use her car because I didn't have a car either. And then I would drive into town to Wi-Fi, and then I would upload the ads. And so there was a lot of like, what was interesting too is I couldn't check the stats constantly.
It's not like you want to refresh.
Yeah. Like I couldn't always do it.
Well.
Right, exactly. It's just like, I just remember being like, please, little baby Jesus, please sell some stuff. My baby needs diapers, And so I'd go into town and upload the stuff, and then I'd go home and I'd be like, I'd just sit there.
Just waiting.
Just kind of waiting. Like,
Mom,
I
hurry
wonder
home.
what's that. And I'd get mad. I'd get so mad at my mom because sometimes she'd come home late. I'm like, when are you coming home? Because I'm just sitting there like a baby, like just sitting there. Like I gotta go check these ads. And it was like it took like a few days. But what was cool was I didn't have a budget. I didn't have like a designated budget. I think the first day I spent like $60 or $80 or something like that. And so it wasn't a lot, but I made like 120. And so then I was like, okay, cool. I made $40. And so the next day I spent a little bit more. And then I made, if I spent $150, now I'm making $250, whatever that looked like. And I just kept on scaling until all of a sudden I had spent like $10,000 that month. But if somebody originally had said, do you have $10,000 to spend? I would have been like, no, God, no, I'm not going to spend $10,000. And I think also a really big moment for me too was, it was during COVID, and I had gotten approval for an unemployment check. And they were like, here, you can go get your unemployment. And it was right before I kind of launched all these funny ads and stuff. And this kind of goes back to faith, right? And I look at the unemployment check and I said, if I accept this check, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble because I'm about to make a lot of money. And so I didn't take it. And I look back at that and I think if any single mom had taken that check, I wouldn't have been thought any less of them. You have a child, there's a check right here for quite a bit of money that would have helped you. But I was so confident, like what you said, like when you would say like a funnel works, when you would say you can sell your stuff online, when you said you can sell your your knowledge online. It just made sense to me, and I just believed you. And so that's such a huge part of my life, was that I believed what you said. And that when the check was in front of me, I'm like, I'm not taking this because I'm going to get in so much trouble because the government's going to come back to me and they're going to say I made way too much money. Why did I take this check? Because I'm going to make way too much money this year. It's going to happen this year. And so I didn't take the check. And it ended up happening. You know, I ended up making more money than I'd ever made in my whole life. But it was just kind of having that belief and walking like you believe in it, not walking like you have a plan B. You're walking like you know, like this is it. This is what's going to work. I believe it's going to work. And I'm just going 100% so much that I'm not taking this check right now. So it's really, really cool when I look back on it now.
I just recently read a book called The Magic of Believing. I'm not sure if you read it, but it's like a classic old book about that. And it's fascinating because I've said this before, but like, I've never seen someone who's skeptical and successful. Like those two things don't go together. And like just your story, like every single time you're like, okay, I believe in this thing. And so you weren't skeptical. You're like, I believe in it. I'm going to do it. And then everything showed up, right? And it's like to see the pattern in your life 3 or 4 times now where that's the thing you're doing. It's like, hopefully people listen to that, because our society's taught us to be skeptical of everything. And it's just like obviously you got to protect yourself, but it's like, man, when you're skeptical, like it's just hard to, you don't take the steps forward. You're always second guessing and you don't make the actions versus like, I'm just going to believe and go and then see what happens. Like that's when magic shows up, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I also think it's just like people hear if you just, I make most of my decisions just off like logic, like what you said. Like when I would read the book, I'm like, okay, this makes sense. It doesn't matter if what I believe, it doesn't matter what my, track record has been. It doesn't matter. Everything that you said made sense. And when you said, these are the numbers, this is all it has to do is convert at 1% on a webinar, and you have $1 million webinar. And when you break down the number, I'm like, this makes sense. That's all. I don't need the majority of people. And I, from the experience going door to door, right, 9 out of 10 people can tell you no, and you can still get yeses, a few percentage will. So there's logic there. It's when we start thinking emotionally and we go, but am I good enough? Am I this? And what I tell everyone always, I was talking to a young lady yesterday who was actually in tears, and she was so sweet. And she was like, how are you so confident on what you're doing? How do you, basically like, how are you walking in faith? How are you so confident in what you're doing? And I'm like, okay, let me just stop right there. Everyone tells you got to be great. And you got to be so good. So everyone's focusing here. So for you to believe that you can sell something, you have to believe you have to be amazing. So everyone goes to all these like life coach stuff and they're like, I'm amazing. I'm worth it. They wake up in the morning and they're listening to their mornings like, you are valuable. You are lovable. And I'm like, let me just tell you something. A chia pet is so pointless. It's just grass. That's all it is. They have made millions of dollars. The shake weight is pointless. The pet rock is pointless. Millions and millions of dollars. And so she starts laughing. And I said, do you believe that you could offer a fraction of the value that a chia pet offers? And she starts laughing. She's like, yes. And I'm like, so you don't even got to be great. You just got to offer something of some sort of value to the world. And you could work for yourself and you could have a business and you could be successful. And at that point, it's just like, you don't got to believe, you just got to believe you're kind of good. Like, that's it. Like, are you kind of good? And obviously do your best, be the best you can be, always be growing. But I think everyone thinks you got to be like, I got to be this, perfect entrepreneur.
When I become this, then I'll do it.
Then I can do it. But hey, if you just have something, and you had always said something that was so powerful when you said, wherever you are, when it comes to selling education, is there someone that would want to be where you are? And that hit me. And it was like, yeah, like I've toured and I've sung. And even if I'm just singing at a restaurant, there's plenty of people that would rather do that than working at the Starbucks. You know what I mean? And so, if that's their dream. And so I just thought, yeah, if there's just 1,000 people a year that want the same dream that I have, if I sell a $1,000 course, I don't know my math right now, is that $1 million, something like that, whatever those numbers are, I can make a really great living. And that's just a small percentage of the world that just have to want to be where I am. And I'm not famous. I'm not Beyonce. I'm not any of those things, but I could help them get there. And that belief. And so going, hey, actually, you could just believe in little things and you could still do amazing. And I love that, because no matter where you are, and then you can grow and ascend. And I don't know, I just thought that was really powerful when you said that. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So cool. Okay. So for people watching this now who are curious, like I want to make funny ads, like is there a process, or like how can especially somebody like me, I don't consider myself funny. Like, Like, what are some ideas that you could help me generate? Like, here's something you could do, or something that people watching home could do to create a fun ad.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's a really simple formula that I always tell everyone. Your hook is the most important thing. The first few seconds of your ad is the most important thing. You want to capture someone's attention. And so the easiest way to make something funny, even if you're not funny, and even if your business is not funny. Now, no business is funny, okay? Like no business, like nothing's funny, right? Unless you sell like whoopee cushions or something, like there's like fart spray, like this is just not funny. Okay, so if you're selling, like, let's say you're selling, I always use this example. Let's say you're someone that teaches busy moms how to make a living. What you do is you just write down what all their challenges are. So what's their challenge? Dirty diapers, kids, they don't have any time. They're exhausted. You start just writing all of their challenges. And then what you do is you take their challenge and you exaggerate it. And so, this is like, I call this the Muhammad Ali, like boom, boom, punch type thing. So this is like Muhammad Ali hook. So what you do is you say, hey, are you tired of, like, are you a mom? So you call out the person, hey, are you a busy mom who wants to be an entrepreneur? But it's hard for you to, get started because, and boom, boom, punch is, the boom, boom is you offer two like actual real legitimate things. Like you're having exhausted time, you're exhausted, you have no time. And then you offer, and you're tired of feeling like this, and visually, you just show the exaggeration. Like there's a kid, like there's a they have poop on the wall. Your hair looks like you just got like electrocuted. You haven't done your makeup. Maybe your mascara is like everywhere. And you have like a calculator. But you're trying to do sales. There's like the dogs like pulled your underwear out into the living room. Like just exaggerating whatever the problem is. And we even did this with when we did Brooke Castillo's ad, when we said, are you tired of feeling stuck? And I'm like wedged in like two mattresses. Like you can't even, like you couldn't even get yourself in, like it took like 5 of us to like even get me into the mattress, but just showing like, and so it's like you're stuck, but like you're obviously in like a really weird, you're like, are you tired of being stuck? Like I'm in a mattress. Like guys, I don't even know how I ended up here. That kind of thing, like the visual, is so easy to do. Like you don't even have to be funny to do that, like that's a really, are you tired of being broke? You're in front of the dollar store, like, like just different things that you could exaggerate. So really all it is calling out your customer, writing down all of their pain points and just exaggerating it. And you could just say, are you tired of this? And you just exaggerate the heck out of that. And that's all. Such a simple way. And the rest of your ad could just be, you don't even have to add a ton of comedy. That first hook is so important. It already set the tone. And now you can say, hey, well, guess what? I have my new make, $100,000 this year during nap time, or, whatever it is at that point. And then they're already hooked because then they're looking at that and they're going, that's me. And then they start tagging their friends like, hey, Mary, look, this is us. Like they have all their mom friends, or they have their other friends that are in the same business or trying to achieve the same goal. And they start sharing your ad because it reminds them of themselves. And that's what you want. You want them to look at it and be like, that's me. Because they like to laugh at themselves.
Yeah. So cool. Do you have a site where it just has like every ad you ever created, people can go look at? Like I feel similar. The ads I'm proud of, I want to display these as art because they're so cool, It's like an ad, but I want to show everybody. Like, it'd be cool if you did something like that. Everyone could go see, like, here's all Kristine's ads she's ever written and created. Like, it'd be so much fun to see it all.
I have a bunch of ads. Oh, I should put them. Maybe I'll put them all on. Maybe by the time you air this, I'll have them all on there. Laughmyadsoff.com. Yeah. So we have a bunch of, and I had bought a bunch of funny domains like whoopyourads.com and all kinds of like kicksomaads.com. So we're able to play off that word a lot. And then, I have a lot of stuff there. Laugh my ads off.
So awesome. Yeah. Well, this has been so much fun. And I'm grateful for you. I know you've come and, you came to Unlock the Secrets, our kids event. And it was cool because you taught this process to the kids. And then you had all the kids go and write ads. And so all the kids, maybe we can show something. I don't know if we can show the kids ads. Maybe, but like they all came back and they did ads. And we picked a winner who had the funniest ad. But it's cool because even if like the adults are like, oh, I'm just, all the kids did, like, tell your kids, like, hey, go make me a funny ad. Like, here's the process.
Yeah,
like,
make your kids do it. Slave them away.
And then you did Fun Hockey Live and the same thing. I think it was cool because so many people in the audience there, like, they'd seen funny ads that, again, big production companies make, like, oh, I can't afford that. And all of a sudden they saw it and it's like, I could actually do that. Like, it's something that's, that it
just do it on my
so
cell phone.
Simple and real. Yeah, because it was just leaning into the humor and the, and the scripting versus, high production and stuff like that. But I think it's what you're doing is so good for just our community and for everybody and giving people belief they can do it. And it just makes ads more fun too, which just makes the internet more fun,
Right. Well, and you know what? What's so cool is, so when I was younger, we used to make like just funny skits. And I'd always dreamt, I thought, how fun would my life be if I could just do this forever? And then thankful to you, you're like, hey, this is how you can turn anything into a business. It's a funnel. And when I saw the funnel, I'm like, oh yeah. So now I can just make funny skits. And then I just say, want to buy something? I just add a call to action. Now I do get to do this. So every day I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually get to do that thing that I wanted to do when I was a kid. I just got to sell something on the end. And so thank you for that, Russell.
That's amazing.
I live my life dream now because of you. So thank you.
That's the greatest thing ever. I love it. Well, very cool. All right. So everyone go to Laugh My Ads Off if you want to go check out some more of the videos and see all that. Thank you, Kristine, for being amazing, for being here and sharing this with everybody.
Thank you, Russell, so much.
It's awesome. So, thank you.
Okay.